This December on Best of the Rest, we are covering the movies that you demand. To make your voice heard, head to the show notes, click the link, and tell us what movies we are covering this December. That's right, December is Listener Demands Month on Best of the Rest. Again, head to the show notes right now and tell us what movies we are watching. You just took a drink of soda from a paper cup. Is that from a movie theater? Looked very familiar.
No, this is from Costco.
Oh, okay. But it looks like.
I assume this is like just a generic Coca-Cola paper cup. I don't assume there's any. I assume they're used in a great many locations across America.
I should have known it wasn't from a movie theater, because if it was, it would have been 3 times as big, because you're a get the large every time at the movie theater kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about the movie theaters recently. Yeah, it totally negates the amount of soda you drink, totally.
It's just water at that point, basically.
You mentioned previously on this podcast that you did not go see one battle after another, despite hearing, how good it is, getting a lot of praise. And what I would like to know from you, Andrew, is if you feel personally responsible for the death of the movie theater now. Given that one battle after another has only made $200 million, which, given its budget, is not enough. The studio's in ruin. Paul Thomas Anderson may never get the chance to make a film again. Leonardo DiCaprio, we'll see if he keeps getting offers after making this flop, because you decided not to go see it. So you bearing the brunt of that on your shoulders, Andrew?
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Well, that escalated a lot quicker than I realized, Andrew. Do you plan on seeing it while you have a chance? While it is in theaters?
I was just looking. I was actually just looking to see if it's still in theaters, and this is the struggle now, man. That came out. When did that movie come out? It came out. First off, it's 3 hours long. It's very long, but trying to see what date it came out, but it's September 26th. So it's actually been out for almost 2 months. So the fact that I can find it at all is actually pretty impressive. But I do see a few scattered showings of it around. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm spending most of Thanksgiving Day at the movies because we're doing Thanksgiving on Friday. Okay. So this is not on my lineup currently.
Hang on. I got to guess. So how many movies do you plan on seeing in theaters on Thanksgiving Day?
3 are locked in. There is a 4th that's potential.
Not talking about one battle after another. That would be 5.
That is not that. Yeah,
Okay.
that the one battle after another. If I did manage to see it, would probably replace the 4th movie.
Okay. Well, I'm talking like I'm about to
in.
nail this whole lineup. I'm not. I can just confidently guess one of them is going to be Wake Up Dead Man.
That I'm seeing on Tuesday. That's the other potential 4th.
Oh my God. Okay. I thought it comes out on Wednesday. There's a showing.
I'm seeing it Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's weird is AMC doesn't have it, which is odd to me. It's at other theaters. I'm seeing it at a local place that's kind of like Alamo called Hollywood Boulevard. But so Liz and I are going to see it there. But when I saw Glass Onion, I saw that at AMC. I remember seeing it at AMC 3 times.
Yeah,
I saw it. I was there every day. So I was looking around and I knew it was coming, but then I didn't see it anywhere at AMC because I have the A list, so I figured. But then I was like, oh, I guess it's not at AMC. But then when I was looking at Hollywood Boulevard, I was like, there it is. I was like, well, okay, we're gonna go do it there, and I can get some nachos with taco meat, which will be delicious and not at all bad for my digestive tract 3 hours later.
Nachos with taco meat is the whitest thing you've ever said. What? Just say not nachos with taco meat sounds so unnecessarily.
The nachos only come with the cheese. I have to add the taco meat.
Okay,
I'm following the menu rules. But
I don't even nachos aren't a Mexican dish. It is an American dish, but nachos with taco meat is. I'm gonna have to sit on that for a while. But it's just such a weird phrasing. All right, so what's your Thanksgiving Day lineup?
Wake Up Dead Man is, I'm seeing a Tuesday for sure, definitely. Thursday, it's the potential. So there's 3 locked in at AMC on Thursday during the day. And then the 4th spot was either going to be Wake Up Dead Man back at the same theater because my friend and I can't see it at AMC, or potentially something else, or potentially I don't see a 4th movie because 3 movies in a row is enough. So, any guesses? Any guesses on what any of the 3 could be?
No, as soon as I geared up to guess, I realized like I don't follow the box office closely enough. I don't check release dates. I know the new Wicked just came out. I don't think that's on your radar.
It will be. That is movie 1. That is movie 1 at 10:45. 10:45 in the morning. We are seeing Wicked for good.
Now, is okay. No judgment. The Wicked movies are extremely popular. Did you enjoy the first one?
I did. That's why I'm going to see the second one.
Well, that was my question. Is this your choice, or is this like, your girlfriend wants to see it, or someone will see it, and y'all go along?
Liz is seeing it with her own friends the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So this isn't it. So I saw the first one like kind of on a whim. I think it was like a Sunday afternoon or something. Like I was just like, oh, everybody's kind of talking about this. Let's check it out. And I was like, oh, it was pretty good. And so I'm interested. I've heard the second one has more mixed reception, but like I've never seen the play, I've never seen anything, so I have no frame of reference for Wicked. So I liked the first one, and I am interested in seeing what happens with the second one. I've heard all the good song. I've heard there's one good song in the second one, and all the other good songs are in the first one. But I'm so excited. So anyway, that starts us at 10:45.
I don't remember if I shared this on the podcast or not, but last year, my family always goes to the movie theaters on Christmas Day. It's a tradition. So, last year, I convinced everyone to go see the cool new gothic vampire movie, Nosferatu. And my brothers and stepdad were like, oh, I haven't heard of that. Oh, look at the trailer. It looks really cool. And meanwhile, all the girls went and saw Wicked. I think we should have just all seen Wicked. In hindsight, none of us really vibed with Nosferatu. I've probably shared the podcast before, but it was kind of a bummer.
Not for me, man. That was guy got so horny he died. That's about it.
But funny enough, the year before that, I don't always pick the movie, but I tend to influence it. I convinced everyone to go see The Iron Claw on Christmas Day, which we all loved. It was sad. Great. Yes, it's incredibly sad. But I guess the point is we usually don't see like a Christmas theme movie or family movie. It's just a good movie.
There's not always a Christmas thing out, but I know Park Chan-wook's new one comes out Christmas Day this year, and it's like I forget what it's called, but it looks like it's about a guy who loses his job and is up for another job, and in order to get the job, he kills all the other applicants. That's kind of what it sounds like. A good time. Okay. That sounds like Park Chan-wook, about as good as it gets. But I assume there's more to it. But all
right, what else is on your Thanksgiving Day lineup?
I will probably also be doing a Christmas Day movie. So, but anyway, so following that, we will be seeing Sisu 2: Road to Revenge. Okay. I don't know if anybody saw Sisu, the first one, but it's about
Nazi killer movie.
Yeah, it's very brutal and very enjoyable. And so this one, he apparently kills Russians instead, which twists my arm. Following Sisu 2 and slightly overlapping, hopefully the trailers work out in our favor, we'll be seeing Rental Family, the new Brendan Fraser movie set in Japan that I'm absolutely certain is going to make me bawl. Like, I know that movie is going to emotionally wreck me, but I'm all about the Fraser-sance.
I would say I don't know if Brendan Fraser will make another movie that doesn't make me cry just because it's so good to see him. Like, they just announced The Mummy 4. Probably not going to be tugging at the heartstrings, but I might cry seeing him return as Rick in that movie.
That
just it's just God, what is that going to be? By the way, like, do you have any like?
I know the Radio Silence guys are doing it, which is promising. Those are the guys that did they did some of the VHSs. They did Devil's Due, but they did Ready or Not, Scream 5 and 6. And I like all 3 of those. I really liked Ready or Not. And I think they're doing Ready or Not too. I don't know. They also did.
Wait a minute. The sequel to Ready or Not is called Ready or Not 2.
Hold on. Let me make sure.
It's not called Ready or Not, Here I Come.
It's called Ready or Not 2, Here I Come.
Okay. All right.
But,
okay. Thank you. That was a close one.
David Cronenberg is in it, which still, like, I always love when David Cronenberg just randomly shows up in acting roles. Shout out to Jason X. But he's in it. Elijah Wood's in it. Samara Weaving returns. Catherine Newton's in it. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Nestor Carbonell, Kevin Durant. Quite the cast. But they did a movie. They did a vampire movie a couple years ago called Abigail that I really, really liked. Okay. So they're good stuff. I'm excited, so it'll be interesting. They were going to do Scream 7, did not work out. Are they not directing Ready or Not 2? Yes, they are. So I trust the track record, like meta, self-aware, got the humor, got the action, got the everything down. So I'm confident, but it's just nice to see that he gets to potentially close the book on that. And then Rachel Weisz too, because she wasn't in the third one. So like,
right.
It's kind of a full circle thing for a lot of people. So I'm excited about that. I think that will be fun. But Rental Family, I know, is gonna like destroy me. I know that it will.
Okay. Well, and sounds like a good.
That'll be AMC back to back to back,
right.
Basically. And then we would need to go somewhere else to see the fourth one because nothing else really showing at that theater. But yeah, good stuff.
Sounds like a good lineup. If I can manage to get a babysitter, I will be watching Wake Up Dead Man at the very least. So we'll see. Let's bring in that theme song.
We're not talking about the best of them. We're just talking about the rest of them.
Not the worst parts, but the best parts. And the best parts we have. The best of the rest.
Hello and welcome to Best of the Rest. My name is Chris Logan, and I am joined as always by my high co-host, Andrew Williams. Say something to the listeners, Andrew.
Hello.
Oh man, you sound so high. Each week, we take a second look at a movie that was poorly received upon release and challenge ourselves to only talk about the things we like and what the movie does well. It's Stoner Month, and this week we are talking the 1998 film Half Baked. Andrew, what is your history with this movie? Had you seen it before this week, getting ready for the podcast?
I'm certain I had. No strong memories of it outside some of like the viral scenes that caught on with the internet age, but overall, this is not something that's been a huge part of my life in any way. I don't really smoke weed. I don't really. It's never stopped me from watching other movies, but just this one, I don't know really what it was. Maybe the timing didn't quite get me like some of the others did, but no real history. Definitely had seen it before, like no question, but no real strong attachment or no real revisiting of anything beforehand.
So a long gap before rewatching it this week for the podcast.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, pretty much same here. I definitely saw it back in the day. I remember watching it at least once with my older brother, and I feel like this was a staple of Comedy Central. I think it's a movie they played all the time, so I probably saw it in bits and parts throughout. But I remember liking it a good deal. This was definitely the first time I remember seeing Dave Chappelle. I was a big fan of Harlan Williams in the 90s. I mean, still am, but I love any time he popped up in a movie throughout the 90s and early 2000s. And definitely the first time I saw Jim Brewer. So I don't make it too big of a deal, but a movie I had some fond memories of watching. But went 20 years without watching it, and now here we are. Going to talk about it, all the positives, talk about everything that we like. But first, let's set the stage here. The movie was released January 16th, 1998. It was made on a budget of just $8 million. At the box office, it does bring in 17.5. A modest take, but I would say they're probably happy with that on an $8 million budget. And then, of course, it becomes a hit and gains its cult following after. Critically, the critics aren't digging this one, just a 28% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, but as you might imagine, the audience score is significantly higher. 81% audience score. I mean, I think this is definitely a movie that grew in popularity. The biggest boon's got to be the Chappelle Show, which comes a few years later. People going back and being like, oh, this guy actually made like a whole movie in the late 90s. And like I said, just playing all the time on Comedy Central. It seems to have only grown in legacy over time. But yeah, 81% audience score. It's a pretty big gulf between the two scores there. But not surprising for a movie like this.
Is that, speaking of stoner movies, I'm just checking what the gulf is on Grandma's Boy one more time. Because that's the other like very notorious gap between critics and okay, that one is 15 to 85, so that one's even higher.
Wow.
This one's 28 to 81. Now, to be fair, this is operating off of 25 reviews for Half Baked. That is not a large sample size. This is not something where I guess there's a lot of reviews, retroactive or modern, for this one. So not a whole lot of information there, but obviously, again, 81% on the audience score. And I don't know how Grandma's Boy didn't make the cut for this month. Did we stop paying attention?
A few things here. I've never seen Grandma's Boy. I made an earnest attempt to watch it one time. Didn't make it very far. Sorry, #PP. I didn't see it when I was like 13. Like I didn't see it at the right age.
First off, it came out in 2006. So I was already 19 when that movie came out. So there's no chance for me to see it. Like, we can't see it when we're younger. Chris, I don't know if you understand how the passage of time works.
I don't remember what year. I thought early 2000s, but okay, fair enough.
Anyway, I'm not disagreeing with our choice not to.
Well, my question is,
I don't even remember it coming up.
Is it truly a stoner movie? I don't know. Like, I haven't seen it. Yeah? Full blown?
Absolutely.
It's not just vibes thing? Like, it's a stoner movie?
No. Yeah, 100% that's a stoner movie. Like, they all smoke weed.
Maybe I'll watch it one day. There's still time if you want us to cover that. You can fill out the form, submit that as a potential movie for the December Demands Month happening very, very soon. And thanks for all the entries so far. We got a... Andrew, I don't know if I've shared the list with you or not, but there's some...
you shared one with me, and
there's a big variety there.
Excellent. I was looking at this... I was looking at the week this came out, because this comes out Martin Luther King Jr. weekend in 1998, which I don't know if that was intentional or not. But Half Baked opens at number 6.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Behind the number 1 movie in its 5th week, Titanic.
Makes sense.
I forget. Second, and it's its debut, or no, it had to have been out for a while at that point. Good Will Hunting, surging up to number 2, possibly due to Oscar buzz. Don't know. Fallen, which is a movie I've mentioned before, the Denzel
Washington movie, yeah. One of his few villainous roles, I believe.
Sort of, yeah. As Good as It Gets at number 4, and then Hard Rain at number 5. I don't even remember some of these. Mouse Hunt coming in at number 9. Mouse Hunt, that movie that somehow keeps persisting. The next week, it falls off to number 8, drops to 3 million. Does come ahead of new release for that week, Phantoms, which I hear Ben Affleck was the bomb in. But and then actually Spice World opened up the second week that Half Baked was out, but Titanic still held on to number 1, and then Half Baked dropped to number 11 the next week, and that pretty much ends its main run there. It only has like a few weeks. Like the only box office data it has is 3 weeks. Like there's no more after that. So I don't know if it hangs around, or if it just keeps dropping off, or they just pulled it. I don't know. But yeah.
Dude, do you remember? I know you remember, but Were dollar theaters ever a big part of your life?
Not. Calling them a big part of my life is probably not accurate, but like I've definitely partaken in the dollar theater. That Alamo Draft House. I've probably told this story before. That was on Mason Road. Yeah. Do you remember that? Did you ever go to that one?
One of the Destroy All draft houses I saw was there.
Yeah, I remember. We were there. It was the three of us.
Well, there you go. Well, you're asking me if I've been there, and you were there with me, Andrew.
I was there. But so that had several lives as a movie theater. Because when it first started, I remember as a kid, it was just a regular old movie theater, and my dad would take us there to watch movies. But then the Cinemark at the Grand Parkway opened up that had the stadium seating and all that stuff, and then the AMC at Katy Mills Mall opened, and those pretty much killed that theater. And so that theater also, I don't think it did digital, so it couldn't do like new heavy fancy releases. Like I remember the Star Wars remasters were coming out, it didn't have those, it couldn't do that stuff. So when those things crashed, when those things opened, it pretty much killed that theater. Then after that, it became a dollar theater. And so it reopened some months later as a dollar theater. And I think I saw one thing there, but then it closed again because it didn't hold on as a dollar theater. And then it eventually got bought by Alamo Draft House, who opened it to turn it into the Alamo. And then the Alamo eventually closed. And I have no idea what, if anything, it is now.
I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's a movie theater now. I also saw it when it was Alamo. I think I saw an Ultraman double feature with mutual friend Doug there. So I just went there for like special events, I guess. But yeah. I mean, I guess a dollar theater was never a huge part of my life because I never lived super close to one. But there was one not too far away. I remember seeing Scary Movie 3 there with my mom.
The best one, right?
It's honestly, yeah. I think so. I just, it's the kind of thing where it's like, hey, we need something to do. Let's go to the dollar theater and see what's playing. And that kind of movie going doesn't exist anymore for a lot of reasons. I mean, like dollar theaters would be movies that have been out for 3, 4, 5 months. And these days that's streaming already. There's no point in a dollar theater. So like, I'm not saying they should still exist. I get why they don't. But it was just a cool concept. And also, as we've talked about on the podcast, I have a million siblings. So, like, the family going out to the movies, even 20 years ago, was very expensive. So, the dollar theater was a way that we could all go out, get some large popcorn, and still afford to go see a fun movie. So, don't know why I'm talking about that, Andrew. Let's look at the creative team behind this movie. It is written by Dave Chappelle and Neil Brennan. Now, Dave Chappelle, obviously, we're going to be talking a lot about as we go through this movie. But in 1998, the man is just an up-and-coming stand-up comedian who has small bit parts kind of breaking his way into acting. Neil Brennan is also a stand-up comedian at that time, but the two are collaborators throughout their careers. Neil Brennan would also help develop The Chappelle Show shortly after. And Neil Brennan, I didn't think I remembered the name, but then I saw he did the special 3 Mics, which I think is currently on Netflix. Andrew, have you seen that special or heard about it?
No.
It's really, I've got to I haven't seen it in some time. It looks like it came out in 2017. I was thinking it was older than that, but I saw it when it first came out, and it's basically like a one-man show. There's 3 microphones on stage. And Neil Brennan, like each microphone has its own like category. Like one of them is like one-liners and zingers. Mm-hmm. One of them's like serious discussion about like his depression, and one of them's like standard stand-up comedy. And so throughout the special, he'll move from one to another, and like the spotlight moves where he is. And he'll tell a sad story, pop over here for a zinger, and then come back over here. Like it's really interesting how it all plays out. Just super creative, and I would highly recommend it. Good stuff.
All right.
There you go. Cool. The movie is directed by someone we've talked about before, Andrew, one Tamra Davis. Also the director of Billy Madison, which is got to be the biggest movie they directed. But you go up and down their filmography, a lot of small comedies, a lot of small budgets. Even after Billy Madison becomes a big hit, it doesn't seem to change too much in terms of the movies that they get offered or the size of the budget they're allowed to work with. I think maybe the other notable thing in the filmography is Crossroads, the Britney Spears movie. Possibly a future episode of our show. But yeah.
Oh my God.
Davis,
Shonda Rhimes wrote Crossroads? What?
Who is Shonda Rhimes, Andrew?
She is the creator of Grey's Anatomy.
Well, there's some fun bar trivia.
Also developed Private Practice, which was a spinoff of Grey's Anatomy. Scandal. Yeah, my God.
Andrew, what if we cover Crossroads on the podcast and it turns out to be like a really solid movie?
Ha!
What if, though? What if?
Yeah, what if? Yeah, what if?
Literally no one knows because no one has seen that movie. There's no way to know if it's good or not.
Dan Aykroyd's in that movie. I think he plays Britney Spears' dad.
Sure, why not?
I think Justin Long's in it too.
You know too much about Crossroads, Andrew.
I do, because I confuse it with the guitar movie starring Ralph Macchio that has Steve Vai in it. Steve Vai, who plays the devil, basically. I don't really know how that scene's supposed to work, but yes. Maybe one day, folks. You could write in and suggest we do Crossroads, folks. It's an option.
Just specify which one, I guess.
Yes. They clearly can't mean the Ralph Macchio Crossroads. It's clearly got a positive reception, right? Clearly does. Definitely does. Googling it now. It's definitely got a positive reception. It is a 76%. Yes. So no, it can't be Crossroads.
They can demand whatever they want, Andrew. It doesn't have to be a bad reception.
Oh, they can.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this.
It's open to anything. Whatever the people want, whatever they demand.
I did not realize that we were abandoning the decorum of the podcast for this.
The listeners are taking over next month.
They could send us Oppenheimer if they wanted.
They could, except I watched that already. If you're going to demand a good movie, make it one I haven't seen, please. Just like
now you're putting restrictions on it. Okay,
I mean, I'm just making a small suggestion. They can still do whatever they want. But I lost a sports bet this year of the baseball season. My beloved Astros did not make it to the big game. And the big series, I should say. And I had to watch a movie of friend of the show, Zachary Ort's choice, and he made me watch The Banshees of Inisherin, which is a movie I really wanted to watch and just hadn't got around to. I'm beloved in Bruges. And I watched that this week.
What's wrong with having to watch that?
Nothing.
It was punishment.
I loved it. It was great.
How is that? I don't understand how that's a losing thing.
Feel free to ask Zavazda in our Discord why he chose it, but I wasn't complaining. I had a great time with that movie.
I just don't like you no more.
Hilarious.
But you liked me yesterday.
Dude, whenever it's like it takes 3 to tango. He's like, I don't like the tango. You were just dancing with your dog. And it's like, and near tears.
Yep.
It's funny because I think that's like how I think it's a very, very funny movie. But if you were to like ask someone or recommend it, like, hey, you want to see a good comedy? The Banshees of Inisherin. Put this on. Like, I don't know if they'll be in the right frame.
No, absolutely
to
not.
Experience that. It's very funny.
There was another one. I think he did another called The Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Yes.
The same director.
Yeah.
And that was another one where I was like, oh, cool. The In Bruges guy's new movie. And I watched it and I was like, oh.
I didn't laugh. It's a very good movie, though. I also really
very extremely good. Sam Rockwell is very good in it. Yeah. As is Frances McDormand, as she always is. But like, I remember I watched that. I was just like, I'm going to go drive home in silence now.
All right, Andrew, let's talk about a very different movie. Let's talk about all the positives, everything we enjoy about the movie Half-Baked. Andrew, you ready?
Yeah.
When Kenny is arrested for the murder of a police officer, It's up to his three best friends, Thurgood, Bryant, and Scarface, to raise the bail money necessary to get him out.
To be clear, he killed a police horse, not a police officer.
Andrew, they make it very clear that there's an officer down when that horse falls over. To raise the money as quickly as possible, Thurgood begins stealing high-quality marijuana from the laboratory he works at as a janitor. The three friends begin to quickly rake in the cash as local drug dealers, but their business catches the attention of Samson, the established drug dealer in the neighborhood, and he is determined to end their scheme by any means necessary. There's also a thing in there about Thurgood starts dating a girl named Mary Jane who doesn't want him to smoke or use drugs, and he's lying to her, but I couldn't figure out a way to weave that in. The main thing is they're trying to raise bail money, which I didn't realize, honestly, until writing that synopsis. Am I missing something, Andrew? He's in prison for the murder of a police horse, and they're just trying to make bail, which only gets him out until his trial.
Doesn't drop the charges.
Exactly. And he's clearly in prison, not jail, which you don't go to prison until you're convicted, right?
He very much did the thing he's accused of. Like, it's also like, it's not like, like, it's one of those things where they're like, oh, we got to bail him out of prison. Like, yeah, he's still going to go to jail for the very real crime he actually committed. Like,
it gets resolved by the end, but nothing about their plan is about getting the charges dropped. But anyway, I mean, I would say we're watching the movie wrong, but I don't know. Is there a right way to watch this movie? I guess on weed, Andrew. I guess you ever seen Half Baked on weed? That's probably the right way to watch this.
I assume lots of people have.
All right, Andrew. Well, let's jump into it. But before we get to the scenes, let's talk about the cast of this film, starting with the high point, best casting and best performance of the movie, because every episode we recognize one person who goes so far above and beyond the call of duty that they actually elevate the quality of the entire film with their performance, and we recognize that person by giving them the Mark Strong Award. So, Andrew, kick us off. Who is getting a Mark Strong Award for Half Baked?
It is David Bluestein as the ghost of Jerry Garcia. No, I'm kidding. That is that man's only acting credit.
Well,
I think they found a random guy.
I say, when he looked like that,
Jerry Garcia, and they cast him to play Jerry Garcia's ghost. Ultimately, there's not a lot of options here. It's a relatively limited cast. There's a bunch of cameos, but of our main players, one of them is really the main one getting to dive into much of anything, and that's Dave Chappelle as Thurgood, and he also plays Sir Smoke a Lot. Smoke a Lot. Smoke space lot. Yeah, Dave Chappelle basically does everything here. I mean, it's a vehicle for him. That's what it is. So in that regard, the movie is kind of riding on his shoulders, and I think he's playing this character just fine. It's Dave Chappelle. Like, I really don't have a whole lot more to say about him, especially given his recent decisions to make. But if there's anybody in this movie that is elevating it, it is Dave Chappelle.
Well, I've got to agree.
Weird thing to say out loud.
Also, getting my Mark Strong Award for this movie, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that has seen it. In some ways, I'm kind of surprised by how reserved he is, especially as Thurgood. But whenever he Sir Smoke a Lot, you see a lot of the energy and creative ideas.
It's basically Rick James. Like, that's what it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a big Chappelle Show sketch, whether it's the music video or when they hang out together. You see some throughout this movie, you kind of see sparks of what's to come in his career. And he's very likable as Thurgood. He's just a lowly janitor that's very witty, and I don't know. I don't need to describe Dave Chappelle's shtick, but yeah, it is. Let's go ahead and address this now. For some people, it's not going to be weird. For other people, it is kind of weird to talk about some people in this cast, namely Dave Chappelle and Jim Brewer, who up through the 90s and early 2000s, crafted their own, each unique like identity and place in the stand-up and comedy world, where I was not a huge fan of either one, but definitely a fan of both of them. Enjoyed a lot of stuff that they did. And then there's like this gap, and then there's like a reemergence of both of them with a new identity tacked on to their shtick, and an identity that's appealing to a specific demographic. And it's very odd, not just that they would have this new identity, but because it seems in such contrast with their early career. Like the people that are making the movies and TV specials about smoking weed and how much Dave Chappelle criticizes pop culture and and embraces counterculture like throughout the show. It's almost feels like a 180 in some ways that they've attached this new part of their career late in life. I don't know why that happened. I don't really want to guess on this podcast. That's not what we're about. We're just talking about their performance in this movie. And I like Dave Chappelle as Thurgood. I find the character very funny and likable. And it really, though, for me, it is the Sir Smoke-A-Lot that pushes it to the next level. Like the fact that he's playing double duty, the characters are so different, and Sir Smoke-A-Lot is so over the top and reminds me of a good Chappelle Show sketch. That's what's given him the edge over most of the other people in this cast. But let's continue to go through the four stoner friends. Jim Brewer, which would be the other comedian I was mentioning a moment ago, plays Brian. And he is our four main stoners are sort of four archetypes of people that love smoking weed. And this movie makes it a point to go through a lot of different types of weed smokers. Almost like a class on learning about weed, quite literally in a lot of ways. But Jim Brewer, he loves the Grateful Dead. He wears tie-dye. He's like an old school, dirty hippie, burnout smoker. He talks in a super exaggerated. He's like if Shaggy was like a person in real life and not a children's cartoon character. I would imagine he would come out to be something like Jim Brewer in this movie. And I genuinely mean what I say. He plays the part so well, it's hard to see the line between like where Jim Brewer ends and where the character of Brian begins. I get the feeling based on this and his stand-up special from I think the early 2000s, which is really cool. I wish I knew that. I should probably know the name of it, where he incorporates like live music into his act and talks about a lot of like metal jokes. I feel like this character has got to be like him turned up to 11. And I genuinely mean this as a compliment, where like I can't see the seams on where he's kicking it up a notch and where it's just him. I think he does that actually really, really well.
Yeah. That covers it. I don't have a whole lot to add there. Like you pretty much went on about. I mean, you went on about it for like a fortnight. So like, you covered all the bases there. But it's definitely something where like I feel like we are seeing an exaggeration. But yeah, he's definitely the kind of stereotypical detached, aloof stoner, like you said, the dirty hippie type of stoner who like doesn't care about anything and nothing matters, and they're always laughing and they're always giggling. It's like that. They're the useless stoner.
I feel like I'm stepping over bear traps onto another pile of eggshells, Andrew, as I go through some of this. But I just want to give praise where it's due as far as the performance they give. I probably mentioned this before, but me and the family, we make our way through sitcoms during dinner nights. Dinner nights, as if we don't have dinner every night. We watch a show as we eat dinner.
I like to have dinner every night.
We're making our way through Malcolm in the Middle right now, but previously we went completely through Home Improvement. And early on in that show, randomly in the crowd is of Tool Time, I should say, is Dave Chappelle and Jim Brewer. And they get caught up on stage and they have this little part, and it's like so weird because they both go on to have big careers. To see them as like nobodies. Lucy Liu was in the Total Time crowd at one point. They had some big names come through. But come to find out that those two characters they played were so popular, they developed a spinoff for them called Buddies, which aired like, I think they made 6 episodes and 2 or 3 aired. Like, it did not go well. And Jim Brewer actually didn't make it to the sitcom. He gets replaced by the time they finally start shooting. But I don't know what to say about that other than it's just some fun trivia. But it is on the surface, I guess I don't really link Dave Chappelle and Jim Brewer, but they clearly had a long creative working relationship.
It's such a it's such a studio thing to do, to have the popularity be centered on the chemistry of Chappelle and Brewer, and then when the time comes to give them a spin-off, they get rid of one of them and replace him with somebody else, and then throw up their hands in shock when nobody watches it. It's like, cool, the thing everybody wanted to see, you got rid of. And now you're throwing up your heads like, oh, like literally, I think Buddies aired like 4 episodes. Like it's one of those things where like 4 out of the 13 episodes. And then like Chappelle is like, no. But yeah, like once you replaced one of, like, the whole thing is the chemistry of Brewer and Chappelle. And so once you get rid of one of them, it's like, yeah, it's like when they did a Bill and Ted live action television show that didn't have Keanu Reeves or Alex Winter in it. They did a Ferris Bueller show that didn't have Matthew Broderick in it. It's like,
yeah,
why? Like, they think the brand is what they want. And in the case of Buddies, it's even weirder. It's like these guys had a bit part on one episode of Home Improvement. All you've got is that to go off of. And you got rid of half of it. This is the kind of thing where I'm just like, I could do this, right? Like, I could be an executive at a television channel or a movie studio because I wouldn't make boneheaded decisions like this. Like, I wouldn't be that freaking dumb. Like, my God.
It's funny because it's the eternal battle between the creatives and the suits who are there to make money, which is fine because this is all a business and things need to make money. So, like, the people on this side shouldn't be making creative decisions. People on this side maybe shouldn't be making the business decisions. So, like, okay, the people that are there to make the business decision, like, I guess what I'm saying is, even on that level, it doesn't make sense to make that decision to replace, like you said, half of the reason. So there's not even like a good business reason other than, like, I don't know, Jim Brewer didn't score well based on blah, 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 blah. But like it
but also, like, to even test audiences or like I know this is basically your point though, but like the problem with all of it is that they're trying to turn something which is at heart subjective to an extent into a algorithm or a formula or an equation, and that goes way before algorithms and, like, you know, YouTube and all that were a thing. But like, even back in the day, there were these metrics and they were these things. They tried to take success and turn it into a formula or an equation where they could just plug in all these things and it equaled success. Now, what, like, it's even dumber for this because, like, in the case of Buddies, it's like, cool, you got rid of half of what made the show work and then it failed anyway. It's like, good job, I guess. Like, wonderful, fantastic. It's like there's things that studios do that, like, you know, and I know there's a whole controversy about this that I'm not going to give any weight to because if you're going to get into the weeds on anything, I think the reason for it. But, like, Disney made a live action Snow White movie in 2025. I could have told you not to do that. And it would have saved you $250 million. Like, there are things that just aren't going to work. And they do them anyway. And you're just like, why are you doing this? Like, what is the mindset here? Like, it's like a Robin Hood movie. Like, a Robin Hood movie in 2025 is something where it's like, okay, unless you've got something that's actually different, don't do it. It's not going to, nobody cares at the end of the day. There's a whole actual Patrick Willems video about this. I don't know if you've seen it, where he kind of dives into, like, King Arthur and Robin Hood and the failures of those modern versions. And the point for a lot of it that he kind of gets at is, like, for most people, there's already a version of that in their head that they associate with it. And so when you introduce something new, it has to be different enough from that to make them interested. And largely, it's just not. Like, I'm not going to lie. My main image of Robin Hood is the Disney animated one where everyone's an animal, or Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like, those are Robin Hood to me.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, King Arthur, it's Sword in the Stone. Like, that's it. Excalibur to an extent.
It's confusing. I think this was also in Patrick's video. It's confusing people being aware of a property and people being interested in a property. Like,
right.
An 8-year-old might have a Captain America poster on his wall. He's not going to have a Peter Pan poster on his wall. He knows who it is, but he's not dying for more.
Who doesn't know what Peter Pan is? Everybody likes peanut butter. But see that, and like I won't lie. I'm not going to be shocked if that's most people's association of Peter Pan. Is they're like, oh yeah, the peanut butter at the store, and it's like, yeah, that's Peter Pan's legacy at this point, is being peanut butter. But that's the point there too. Like, awareness of something does not translate to interest in something. And that's not always the case. Like, sometimes you can take something that's much more esoteric and turn it into a success. Like, but the reality is that for every like Guardians of the Galaxy, there's an Eternals where there's no awareness and you're rolling the dice. But then just because there is awareness, then stuff like Moana 2 happens, where Moana 2, which came and went in such a way I thought it failed miserably, made $1 billion.
I mean,
and
that's
so there
true.
are things.
You mentioned, they shouldn't have done Snow White, and I agree with what you're saying, but also I can't blame them because people are like, "Ugh, why are you doing Lion King and CG and it makes all the money?"
I disagree with that. Let me tell you why I disagree with that.
And Lilo and Stitch made money, and Beauty and the Beast made money, and so far, just about all of the modern live action remakes are
all of
making money.
The modern live action remakes based off of the movies we all saw when we were kids.
Okay, so you think Snow White is going too far back?
Snow White went too far back. And also, Snow White is just not a story that anybody has a huge affinity for. Dumbo,
okay.
I think Dumbo made money. I don't think Dumbo was a huge success.
Okay.
Like, even the live action Aladdin. The live action Aladdin made like $1 billion. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that came. These movies like have no, they're like Avatar in a way. There's like no lasting cultural memory, but they're making tons of money. Now, Snow White, I think, was always going to be a hard sell just because I think that story veers more into, like, people try to say, oh, well, it's all Disney. And it's like, no, but like for like Moana and Lilo and Stitch and Beauty and the Beast and even Little Mermaid to an extent, Little Mermaid had trouble too. Like, there's a much more recent impression that the younger Gen X and below all have of these. And then obviously they're all, kids movies too that almost always tend to do better. But like Snow White just exists much more to me in that Robin Hood, King Arthur method of like, everyone knows what Snow White is. No one really cares.
So you think a live action Sleeping Beauty isn't going to do numbers?
Maybe if you center it on the villain and cast Angelina Jolie, you might have better success there.
Might even make it a sequel.
I saw what you were doing.
No, I really wasn't doing that. I was trying to think of other movies from the era because I'm thinking, okay, what else in the Disney Renaissance have they yet to do the live action? Oh, Pocahontas. Andrew, do you think in 2026, 2027, do you think they're going to make a live action Pocahontas with that story?
I hope not. I hope not. Now Tarzan, reusing the Phil Collins soundtrack, print the money.
Live action. Can you imagine a live action guy like surfing on a tree like he does?
There's been Tarzan is definitely another one where like don't mistake knowledge for interest, because like honestly I think most people our ages, they think Tarzan, they probably actually think George of the Jungle just because of Brendan Fraser, but because there was that Tarzan with Alexander Skarsgård,
The Legend of Tarzan,
a couple years ago, The Legend of Tarzan,
which I stand up for all the time. I enjoy that movie.
You do,
I think
yes.
It's pretty good. Margot Robbie's in there.
I think I think I told you this, but I think the reason it struggled is because it came out the same year as The Jungle Book, and The Jungle Book just looked so much better.
Oh wait, Andrew, that kind of blows up your theory. Like Jungle Book's from a very old era of Disney, but it's also not
theory. There's always exceptions.
Well, it's not. It's also not like a live action adaptation of the same story. It's
No,
very different.
It goes back to them,
and it's just good. That's another thing. If it be a good
it's just
movie,
good. At the end of the day, it's just good. But and also again, it had like those cutting edge effects, and like there was a word of mouth about Jungle Book that also really helped it.
Yeah, but I also feel like it doesn't have much of a legacy, like you're saying. Like even though it made a lot of money, and I really like it, I don't like it's
gone. Yeah,
there's no merch. There's nobody talking about it.
Anyway, we're here to talk about Half Baked. And
Guillermo Diaz as Scarface, another member of the four best friends that love smoking weed together. I like this character a lot. He seems the least defined by his love of weed. Like obviously they all smoke it, but like, I feel like his troubles at work in his fast food job are very relatable to a lot of people, especially the fashion that he gets to quit that job. I really enjoy. Then his relationship with the dog that he gets later named Killer, I also quite like.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Yeah, like you said, he seems the one that's kind of least defined by it, but yeah, it's a good performance. I love when they break into the lab to steal the weed. He's the only one. He like dresses in all black and paints his face and everything. Goes way hard,
Andrew,
way harder than he needs to on it.
Do you know what that's a reference to?
Probably, but not off the top of my head.
So it's a reference to a movie I've never seen, but I remember the poster. I remember the VHS cover of Blockbuster called Dead Presidents. So,
oh yes, okay, yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, "Is that a Dead Presidents reference?" Which seems so out of nowhere. But I guess in '98, Dead Presidents was probably like what 95, 96. So I'm guessing it
was 95.
A little bit more on people's minds. But I've never seen that movie. I don't know what it's about. I assume people rob something based on him using it here. But that cover is one of the most iconic covers of the '90s for me. For whatever reason, it's always stuck in my brain. But it's got that white face paint with the black around the eyes. Yeah, that's how he does
that makes sense. Yeah, I have not watched Dead Presidents in a very long time. That might be another one I'm due to watch because the same guys that did Menace to Society, they followed that up with Dead Presidents, which is a heck of a 1-2 punch. To lead out.
Dead Presidents have a good reception? I don't even know. I know nothing about this movie.
I think it's mixed. I think Dead Presidents is mixed, but I feel like there's still definitely a legacy and a cult following for it. But
I gotta check it out too.
But yeah, one day. So many movies to watch, man.
Harland Williams plays Kenny. He's the one that goes to prison in the aforementioned synopsis, and most of his scenes are him trying to survive in prison.
Yep. Definitely some troubling stereotypes they play on there.
I love Harland Williams. I like the only starring role I can think of is Rocket Man, a movie I certainly loved growing up. Probably a little hard to go back to now, but nostalgia could carry you through. But he always just pops up in small bit parts. He's in a lot of Fairley Brothers movies. He shows up in Dumb and Dumber. And a very memorable role.
His first
something
role,
about Mary.
That's his first movie, I think.
Oh yeah,
Dumb and Dumber, yeah, because that's '94. Down Periscope, I remember him there too.
I think he's really funny in Freddy Got Fingered. Speaking of movies that are probably hard to go back to.
Criterion Collection when, guys? Let's do it.
I just talk about. He's like the epitome of the alternative comedy comedian. Sorority Boys, that's probably a good one to go back to, probably aged flawlessly. I don't know. I love Harland Williams. Nowadays though, he is probably raking in the dough from a TV show that he helped co-create and he does a voice of called Puppy Dog Pals. He plays an inventor who has 2 puppy dogs that go on adventures whenever he leaves the house. I've seen a lot of it, Andrew. It's okay. It's no Bluey.
It's okay. It's no Bluey. That's good to know. This guest list for Puppy Dog Pals is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, Fred Armisen
Dennis
shows up
Haysbert,
at some point. Yeah,
Bob Uecker, Tara Strong,
Jackie
Patrick
Breyer.
Warburton, Sherry O'Terry, Huey Lewis. Jesus Christ. Henry Winkler, Mo Collins, Cree Summer, David Koechner. Like, it's not exactly lightweights here, man.
Which is funny because it's literally a school for a school. It's literally a TV show for preschoolers who aren't gonna care. Like that's there for the parents watching, I guess.
Like Bob Uecker plays a baseball announcer in this show. Like kids aren't gonna understand that reference at all. They're not gonna understand that Bob Uecker was a baseball announcer, and they've certainly never seen Major League. So like none of that's gonna matter. Then again, shows did that. Like there's a Pinky and the Brain sketch I will always remember because Brain does a riff on the Orson Welles frozen peas commercial outtakes that are like a notorious thing online. And it's like a kid will have no idea what this. Heck, most adults probably don't even know what that is. But they dedicated a whole animation block to making Maurice LaMarche's Brain parody Orson Welles. I don't know if you've heard about this. I'm certain I've told you about this.
We've talked about this on mic before, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, there's no way. But like, shows do that. And hey, all the more power to them.
Yeah, this appealing to the millennial parents through TV shows is a very real thing. Andrew, you might be familiar with Spidey and His Amazing Friends, which is an animated show for preschoolers.
Yep.
You know about this?
What about it? I know it exists.
Okay, yeah, it's Spidey and Miles Morales and Ghost Spider. The theme song is done by Patrick Stump of Fall Out Boy, who actually, he also did Lego Batman. He has like a whole career in like children's media at this point. So then they do a sort of spin-off show called Iron Man and His Awesome Friends. This one has Tony Stark, and it has Riri Williams as Ironheart. And interestingly, Amadeus Cho as Iron Hulk, which I think is a concept they just made up for this show. Because in the comics, Amadeus Cho is Hulk, not Iron. He has a suit that makes him Hulk. Anyway, the theme song for this one is by Mark Hoppus of Blink-182. And let's get really nerdy here. My son loves listening to like the theme songs and the music from the show, so they're playing on our Google speakers all the time. And the full version of the Iron Man and His Awesome Friends theme song, and the second verse, which you don't hear when you're watching the TV show, but Andrew, I've heard the full song. The second verse says, "Armor up for our latest adventure. You'll always remember, even when you're 23. Let's go have some fun." Which is a reference to...
Oh, I know.
What's my age again? Because it's Mark Hoppus. Yep. But again, a joke that my 5-year-old doesn't get, but there it is. There it is.
How weird. I'm looking up Iron Hulk. This is a trip. Apparently, it's kind of a thing. I don't really know. I have no frame of reference. I haven't read Marvel comics in a ongoing capacity in a long time. So I have no idea what this is.
But is it Amadeus Cho?
No.
Okay.
So when I search Iron Hulk on Wikipedia, it sends me to Iron Patriot, which was the first version of Norman Osborn wearing like the red, white, and blue Iron Man armor when he forms the Dark Avengers, which are just the Thunderbolts pretending to be superheroes. Which twist? That's what the original Thunderbolts were. They just were pretending to be other superheroes, not just other heroes. But like it says, variants or replicas of the Iron Patriot armor make occasional appearances. And one here is the Iron Hulk is Robert Maverick Red Hulk utilizing the heavy combat Iron Patriot armor. I don't know who Robert Maverick is. I've never heard of Robert Maverick. And I guess he is like sort of a like I guess he's kind of a Thunderbolt Ross heir at that point or something, but I guess he becomes that. And then it says Iron Patriot in other media, and it says the Iron Hulk appears in Iron Man and His Awesome Friends as Amadeus Cho. And then I guess the Iron Hulk appears in Marvel Contest of Champions as the Maestro. And it's like, all right, there's a lot of missing context I have here that I don't feel desired to fill in the gaps on, but good to know.
Andrew, Rachel True plays Mary Jane in this movie. This is the woman that Dave Chappelle's Thurgood begins dating the one that vehemently hates weed and drugs and anybody that has anything to do with them. Dave Chappelle's character actually stops smoking to prove how much he wants to be with her. I like the performance. Very funny. I think one of, if not the only person that returns for Half-Baked 2, a movie that I didn't know existed until researching for this episode. But Rachel Chu is probably most known for her starring role in The Craft, which came out a couple years before this.
Yeah, sounds about right. It is a fun performance. I like what she's doing here. She is, I think Harland Williams has a cameo in Half-Baked 2, and that's it.
Okay.
But yeah, there is a Half-Baked 2, which was, and it came out last year. Like, why in the year of 2024 did somebody be like, you know what we should do? We should make a Half-Baked sequel with none of the original cast.
As I say, if you reunite them, there's something there. There's an audience, but like,
right? Like,
does
Dave
the
Chappelle
name? Is there enough
movie,
name value to really justify a Half-Baked 2 without the stars?
You are literally banking on people who just see Half-Baked 2 and decide to watch it. That's literally it. And if it costs $12 to make, then you probably made enough money off of that. But yeah, I always am tripped up by stuff like that. But that happens. There's literally like, that's just a modern version of the direct-to-video type stuff that they would do in the 80s, where there would just be this mass wave of, call a movie with a fancy title, give it a cool cover, and people will check it out. And it worked. So I don't think this worked, though. Call it a hunch, but whatever.
All right, Andrew, there's a lot of bit parts, a lot of cameos. We can get to a lot of when we get to scenes, but I think there's just one more casting I want to talk about here, and that is Clarence Williams III as Samson Simpson. Clarence is just someone who's been at it for decades, and most of the career, I mean, they have tons of credits, things anywhere from like low budget to exploitation stuff to high budget in major movies. They're in that movie Life. Yep. Actually, we came up on our podcast recently with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. They were in a movie that I think I've talked about on mic before called Tales from the Hood, which is a horror anthology movie from the 90s, which several of the stories have stuck with me over the years. It's a good time. Highly recommend if you like stuff in the vein of like Tales from the Crypt, which obviously is what that title is referencing. But here he's playing something that clearly he's comfortable doing, which is like walking straight out of a blaxploitation movie from the 70s or 80s. Got the over-the-top attire, got all the scantily clad women in his hideout. Just a big deal drug dealer. And he's, dare I say, very good at it, Andrew.
Yeah, not much more to say there, but yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing here, and he's leaning into every bit of it. This guy's basically right out of a Shaft movie.
Totally. All right, Andrew, it's time to talk about the scenes of this movie, and we are going to just start with the best scene of the film, or at least our personal favorite. So, Andrew, in your opinion, when is this movie firing on all cylinders? What is the best scene in Half-Baked?
To me, the scene that just lives in my head rent-free all the time, and I know it's probably cheating to say this, but I'm going to be going with the rehab scene because it's kind of coming off the back of he has basically had the blow up with his girlfriend where she says, "I'm not going to date you if you smoke weed." And he basically swears that he's not going to smoke weed anymore. And he goes to a rehab meeting to recover for smoking weed. And so the scene is probably one of the most famous of the movie, if not the most famous of the movie, because it's him in front of this auditorium. And it is very notable because this is the Bob Saget cameo. And he stands up in front of the group, and they're all obviously there for a variety of other, what you would call probably harsher addiction issues. And he says he's here for marijuana, and one of the characters one of the people in the audience, like, very aggressively stands up and calls him out for it, and then that's followed by Bob Saget standing up and saying,
"Go ahead, Andrew. I'll beep it.
I used to suck dick for coke." He's like, "You ever suck dick for marijuana?" And Dave Chappelle just goes, "No, I can't say that I have." It's
Is this has got to be like the first time audiences see the side of Bob Saget on a big stage, right? As big of a stage as this movie is. But like it's well known now that like his stand up and his sense of humor is very dark and profane.
Profane, yes.
Obviously, that's in the late 80s and 90s, he's known for Full House, which is a squeaky clean sitcom, and America's Funniest Home Videos, which is very G-rated comedy. Like, that's what America knows him for. So this is the earliest instance I can think of where he's kind of showing his true self isn't the right way to put this, but his more natural comedy talents in a movie. Because it's like this and Dumb and Dumber, which is, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years after this, that I think of him having a cameo like this, where it's like, it feels super against type. I mean, it is against type for what he's known for, but also like, this is what Bob Saget really enjoyed in his comedy.
Yeah, he also directs the film Dirty Work in '98 with Norm Macdonald and Artie Lange and a bunch of others. But and this was like the year after he left. Dirty Work was the year after he left America's Funniest Home Videos. So like 98, 99, and 98, 97, 98 is when he's really trying to like, okay, let's get back to, I've spent like a decade being America's dad. It's time to like not
be America's dirty uncle.
Be America's dirty old grandpa at this point. It's, and then I think he came back for the Full House revival before he passed away, which is unfortunate. But this scene is literally super short. I know it's a kind of a cheat to call it out, but it's the scene in the movie that lives in my head. I use the gif of the guy going, "Boo this man," all the time because it's just so good. And then literally, this is all Bob Saget is in this movie. It's like 8 seconds. That's all it is. And it's tremendous. It's like the one moment where like Bob Saget was like, "I'm different now." And everyone was like, "Yeah, you are." And people would even say, I think like either Dave Coulier or like, what's his face? God, John Stamos would say that like on set between the takes of Full House, like he was still like this. Like he was like on camera, he's still like, he was like exactly what he needed to be, but just like personally, this is still what he was like. And I was just like, that's amazing. Just imagining Danny Tanner behind the scenes, just saying awful, weird stuff. But I was really sad when Bob Saget died. Like, it was a weird thing. Because one, he was just super young. But what I ended up finding after he passed is that he had a podcast, I think, that he started doing during COVID. And I found an episode that was him and Louis Anderson right after Louis Anderson had died. And it was just a really weird... It's like, so you're just watching these two super old friends have a conversation with each other about all the comedy that they'd done throughout their lives, which at that point was 40 plus years for both of them. And I was just really like, it was heartwarming to watch it, but then I was also just really sad because like Louis Anderson is like a weird one. Cause like I don't know that there's anybody in the world who would say that Louis Anderson was their favorite comedian, but everybody loved Louis Anderson. And Life with Louis, when I was a kid, I remembered it very vividly. And just him and Bob Saget just having this nice conversation. And then at the end of it, I was like, and now they're both gone. That's not fun.
You know, it might have been like very recently, maybe earlier this year sometime, I found out that there was a memorial special on Netflix for Bob Saget. And it's it's like, who's in there? Chris Rock and Jim Carrey and John Stamos shows up. There's like 4 or 5 people just on stage. Just it's like a week after he died. Like it's very recently after he died. Jeff Ross, just kind of it's very loose, very just kind of sharing stories. And dude, they show like celebrities send in videos they play on stage throughout And Michael Keaton sent in a video, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen Michael Keaton do, and it's so appropriate for Bob Saget, because it comes up, and he's like, hey there, I was asked to send this in, just want to say happy birthday, Bob. It's I'm glad we're all... What? Oh. Like, changes gears as if he did. Yeah, he didn't know why he was sending the video. Because of his birthday. It's very funny, worth looking up.
People don't realize sometimes that Michael Keaton is funny.
Yeah, like first and foremost, that's like how he became.
The man
yeah,
is
how he came
so
up.
funny. Like, because first off, he does literally stand up. If Michael Keaton did a stand up tour in 2025 or 2026, like, I would buy the platinum VIP to be front row for that, because it would be the funniest thing in the world. But like, literally, I've talked about Night Shift, and we've talked about Mr. Mom, Multiplicity, all those things on the show where he's definitely, like, even Multiplicity, like, there's definitely humor, but like, he's not being like Night Shift. He's really like, he's like a proto Jim Carrey in Night Shift. Like, he's animated, he's ridiculous, he's over the top. But it's, and then obviously you get stuff like the other guys. So like once every decade or so, he does that thing where you're like, oh yeah, this dude's like really funny. But then like he'll do things like Spotlight or like Pacific Heights, where he's just super serious and he's very good at it. Don't misunderstand me. And like even Spider-Man, he's largely playing that pretty serious, even though there are moments of levity. But like, people forget that man is really funny. And I'm annoyed that the man is so good at everything. But thankfully he's the greatest actor of all time, so we can forgive it. But I'm going to have to look this up. I didn't know this Bob Saget thing existed, so I'm going to have to watch it.
It's pretty interesting. I think it's on the same special. Jeff Ross says, like, well, it's kind of appropriate that the host of America's Funniest Home Videos died by slipping and hitting his head in the bathroom.
Yep. It's a little too on the nose, almost too easy.
Yeah, I recommend watching it. It's, like I said, it's really loose. But if you want to laugh and be sad simultaneously, it's a good watch. And there's some, like, that Michael Keaton video, if you can find. Maybe I'll see if there's that just like clipped. I post.
Yeah, I want to see that.
It's very funny. All right, Andrew. I think it's a good pick, and I don't fault you for like zeroing in on a very specific scene, because that's kind of what this movie is. Like, this, look, hashtag PP. All right, don't worry. I'm not abandoning hashtag positive podcast. I know we're here to talk about the positives, but like, in a lot of ways, this isn't a very well made or good movie. Like,
oh, man. Just boom, backhanded out the door.
Listen, as much as I love film and filmmaking and movies, I admit this isn't something I notice or pay much attention to, like audio quality and like lighting, but it stands out in this movie. Like, there's very poor lighting. There's bad audio. Like, it's just low budget. Like, it's just the fact that it's $8 million and it feels like $8 million. And as far as like the writing, it feels like, you know, everybody, comedian or not, can probably relate to like hanging out with your friends and being like, oh, dude, they should put this in a movie. This would be a funny bit in a movie. This feels like a bunch of comedians who, or I guess one comedian, Dave Chappelle, gathering up all the, oh, that should be in a movie, and like fitting it into a movie. It feels like a bunch of disparate ideas kind of strung together. And so the fact that you're going to zero in on one like funny scene as your favorite kind of makes sense, because this is kind of just a string of gags that are loosely related. It makes sense that, again, shortly after he would do the Chappelle Show, where you don't have to worry about trying to string together a narrative. You can just make sketches and skits of your funny idea. I think that's just a good fit for Dave Chappelle's sense of humor and branding, and obviously for Neil Brennan as well. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me, because similarly, I'm gonna zero in on a very specific scene. I really like, for a lot of reasons, whenever Jim Brewer's character, Brian, whenever they're eulogizing Scarface's dog, and he's like, you gotta go back to the beginning. and just out of nowhere, he shares the entire history of the life of this dog, and it's shown to us in like old photos and stuff. It's like the movie completely changes formats just for this one little bit about talking about how this dog grew up, was separated from his family, and had was put in dog fighting rings and had to kill his brother, and how he eventually makes his way to Scarface. It's very funny. It's unlike anything else in the movie. It's just this fun like flair. Again, where it's like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if just out of nowhere we did an entire backstory of a dog in this movie? It's inconsequential. Those are my favorite parts of this movie, where it breaks form. And I've got another one where it does it here in a moment. But this one was my favorite example of that. Just out of nowhere, big backstory on a dog that just, it's got nothing to do with the plot. But it's very funny.
I love that the footage is all like Super 8. It looks like the Zapruder film, all the flashback footage. Like it's all like way back. And then, it just goes all the way deeper into this story than it needs to. And that's the dedication to the gag that I can always appreciate.
There's a similar little flair here where Thurgood first hooks up with Mary Jane. And he says, I got booty. And it shows us their night together via like Polaroids. Just a bunch of pictures of them in like very suggestive positions, you might imagine, just bouncing around the bed and stuff. And it's like, what a fun way to show us a sex scene. Like, there's no reason to have a gratuitous sex scene in this movie, but this is like a fun, lighthearted, creative, interesting way to show it. And it's like, it's those flares throughout this movie. Like I said, I know I just said like it's low budget and you can feel it, but like, you can tell there's like strong creative comedic forces involved, and #PP. Like, I don't think it amounts to like an all-time comedy or anything, but like there's flashes of greatness that gets expanded on later in just about all of these guys' careers.
Yep. Yeah, it's an interesting time capsule in that way, because, and that's like some of my favorite things that you can see. Like I'm sure I've talked about this before, but like, you know, when you can see like the process, like that's like I just talked about how the Bruce Springsteen movie that just came out with the guy from The Bear, Jeremy Allen White, who's also in the Iron Claw, Deliver Me From Nowhere, Deliver Me, I think that's what it's called, which is about the recording of the album Nebraska. But I mentioned that as part of the release of that movie, they finally released what had been heralded as lost for many years, the electric version of that album. Basically, Bruce Springsteen recorded a version with the whole E Street Band that he then essentially scrapped completely to record essentially a version of it with just him and an acoustic guitar. And the result is seen by many as one of the greatest albums ever made by anyone. But there were a lot of people who were like, but what did that other version sound like? Because this wasn't like there were some demos. This was like the whole album was done. And he was like, no, this ain't it. And then scrapped it to do something else. And so for years, people had heard demos of things. There have been other times that he performed songs in a similar style, but we'd never gotten a release of Electric Nebraska, which included stuff like Born in the USA, which he'd eventually do on, I can't remember the name of the album he did that on, but it's a joke, folks. It's a completely different version. I think I sent it to you, and I was like, this fits the tone of the song, I think, so much better. Yeah. But getting that, and so a lot of people will still say that Nebraska, the version that was released, is the definitive version, and I don't disagree at all. But to see the process is something that's interesting. So what I'm saying is that Half Baked is Chappelle's version of Electric Nebraska.
It's the demos for the Chappelle show.
It's
the first swing.
I mean, the fact that it's Chappelle and Neil Brennan, who would basically go on to do the Chappelle show, means that in a lot of ways, when you're seeing these little bits, like I could absolutely see a Chappelle show sketch where a guy goes to rehab for marijuana and everybody in the crowd is like, "Get out of here!" Like, that's completely in line with that. The flashback of the dog, like all the gags in the movie that, like, in isolation seem good. Like, they're absolutely things that can, and in some cases would, become full-on Chappelle show sketches. Or
characters get so high they fly around the city, and Superman music plays. Like,
yep, exactly. Like, this is all stuff where you're like, they're figuring it out, they're cutting their teeth. It's kind of like when you see Key and Peele on Mad TV, and then eventually on to Key and Peele. Like, you're seeing the process. You're seeing, like, and in comedy, that's such a cool thing to watch. Like Michael Keaton, we just mentioned it. Like, you can see the evolution from his early stand-up to Night Shift to Mr. Mom to, like, eventually everything he does. And you see the man, like, refining his skills in real time. Like, that's one of my favorite things in comics, too. Like, when an artist starts on a book and they're one thing, but by the time they get to the end of it, like when Frank Miller starts doing Daredevil, he's basically just Neil Adams. Everybody at Marvel that started drawing a book that was nobody was Neil Adams. Everybody was just aping Neil Adams. Neil Adams was the house style at Marvel for like 20 years. By the end of his Daredevil run, he's Frank Miller. And you're like, oh, like you see that process unfold in real time. And that's something that's so cool to watch, just to see like especially an artist like grinding it out and being like, okay, I can still do things in this way that's going to appeal, but I can make it my own. And so that's always a cool thing to watch.
It's like going back to watch Tim Robinson on SNL now, where he's kind of just a player, just a guy, like, but you can feel what his sense of humor actually is. And obviously he's able to explore it much more successfully in later projects. Or you hear like a lot of, I think you should leave sketches like were pitched on SNL, but the table was like, that's too weird and I don't get it. And he wasn't able to use it till
Which, to be
on.
fair, about half the sketches on I Think You Should Leave are me saying the same thing.
I love the show, but I say all the time, like, I think 60% of the sketches are hilarious. But even, like, some of the ones I don't think are necessarily funny, like, I don't think they're trying to be. I don't know what they're trying to be, but I love that he has a platform to explore that. And I like watching.
Absolutely. And I agree. And like that's kind of like where I'm at. Like I'll watch a sketch and I'll just be like, what's the funny part of this? Like I don't know that I'm getting it. But then like I went back and rewatched the Round Ball Rock sketch that they did on SNL, where it's Jason Sudeikis and Tim Robinson as the Tesh brothers. Because very famously the NBC basketball theme Round Ball Rock was by a gentleman named John Tesh. And he, in the video, in the sketch, they're talking about pitching that, and he introduces Tim Robinson as his brother Dave Tesh, I think, and he sings the words to Round Ball Rock, which are the most ridiculous things in the world. But it's like they just brought Round Ball Rock back as like the NBC's NBA music again. And all the videos, the top comments were all just like, it's really a lyrics-driven song. I really can't imagine that. So like, but that sketch is like a perfect encapsulation of like, this is Tim Robinson's style of comedy, where he takes like the psychotic piece of music and not just did he put lyrics over it, he put the dumbest, most repetitive lyrics possible. And then when the studio execs don't like it, they literally trash the room. Like it's a perfect, I Think You Should Leave sketch that I'd be curious what it would have looked like without the SNL.
I Think You Should Leave production style.
Yeah. Like what would that have looked like? But it's always fun to see the comedic process, especially like Jim Carrey's another great example of that. You can watch him like in real time, cut his teeth and become Jim Carrey basically.
Yeah.
And
he is his, so you watch an old Jim Carrey, like, comedy routine. He walks on the stage and says, "How's everybody doing tonight?" "Alrighty then." Like, just cuts them off before they can answer. That's literally the origin of that. And then he gets to like basically rewrite Ace Ventura however he wants, and it becomes a catchphrase. But like, you can literally see like the bones of where it comes from by watching his stand-up routine.
Yep, it's always cool to watch.
Earlier this month, I talked about how Seth Rogen talked about whenever he entered the Judd Apatow verse and pushed for like normalizing people smoking weed and not being defined by it as stoners. And I think I can't solely credit Seth Rogen, but as a culture, we've become much more accepting and recognize that all kinds of people smoke weed, not just burnouts. This movie is clearly from an era before that. Like the entire first act is like explaining weed to people. Like,
yep,
how you buy it, the different types of people that smoke it, how hard it is to get a hold of, like how the different tropes you find. Like, literally for a good like 10-15 minutes, it's explaining the process of finding a dealer and paying for it. And I'm like, God, I listen to a podcast now and they advertise websites that'll send you gummies. At a local gas station, someone put stickers on the pumps that had like nuggets on it and like a QR code and had pricing. And I live in Texas where it's like not honestly, I have a hard time keeping up with what's legal or what's not, but Texas is one of the more restrictive states, as you can imagine, in this country. But still, like, this stuff is like out in the open and it's very easy to come by. But yeah, in 1998, not nearly as normalized in our culture, and you can tell by the way the movie feels like it has to explain so many aspects of this culture.
Which is weird because there's other movies of like Cheech and Chong never did that. Like, it's not something you have to do. Like,
but also they were like defined by being stoners, and I mean, I'm not an expert in Cheech and Chong, but I feel like they're not trying to be broad comedy. They're trying to be niche comedy for a certain type of person.
Yeah, but they had a pretty broad appeal there for a while. Like,
True.
Cheech and Chong got pretty famous. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, it's a choice, obviously, to explain it so in depth. But like, I don't know that you had to do that necessarily. But
well, maybe this is like an early version of Dave Chappelle doing what Seth Rogen would do later on, and normalizing it. This is just what it looked like. You know, like they're not. I don't know.
Chris, I don't care this much.
Yeah. But, I just thought it was interesting because if you make a movie in 2020, like Pineapple Express isn't going to spend this much time explaining weed to people.
Great movie.
You know, we talk about the cameos. Some of the best parts of this movie, if not the best parts of the movie, I think are the cameos.
Yeah.
I think Snoop Dogg has a hilarious cameo.
Yes.
Because he's what does he call him? The vulture
scavenger smoker.
Scavenger smoker, yeah. He always wants to smoke other people's supply but never pitches in or has his own. And he just takes the joint and like inhales the entire thing. It's like, yeah, man, I hardly got a puff yet. And then like he just bounces. Very funny. Willie Nelson.
Jon Stewart's there too for some reason.
That's definitely one of the ones that I think has been one of the more memorable parts of this movie. The on weed guy, because I think we all know somebody who is like this with some kind of drug. That's like, no, you haven't really experienced it till you've experienced it on the influence of something. And the example, I love that he's like, have you ever seen Scent of a Woman? On weed,
on
like
weed.
Of all movies,
of all the movies, yeah.
Also,
Hoorah!
Side note: Jon Stewart should not have a beard, should not have a 5 black shadow. It doesn't look right. Janine Garofalo, maybe my favorite cameo here. She's the type of person that thinks that you can only be, or she can only be creative whenever she's high. And you see them delivering to her, and she's like alone in this like studio apartment with no furniture. And she's like, "Oh, how's this?" She's like writing, I can't remember, a screenplay or poem or something. And it ends with, "I must ask Buddha. I must seek Christ," and like raises her eyebrows as if she just does something super profane. Cackled at that bit. I loved her little part there.
Yeah, Janine Garofalo is always really funny. There's no real shock there. What is Stephen Baldwin's the MacGyver smoker? That whole montage of the different types of smokers is all just really, really good. There's like Snoop Dogg's in it, Willie Nelson, you said. Gladys O'Connor plays the grandma smoker, the old woman smoker. It's all tremendous. Apparently, Chappelle asked Harrison Ford to do a cameo in this movie, but he declined. I was like, how does Chappelle know Harrison Ford? I was like, I don't know if they were just like able to ask him for something, but it just feels like an odd thing for like Dave Chappelle to randomly be like, "Yes, Harrison Ford, would you like to be in my movie?"
Yeah, all these cameos are like, it's like obvious ones like Snoop Dogg or like the New York comedy scene or alternative comedy scene, and then Harrison Ford. I don't know how he loops in, but
I don't either. Joe's apartment. I'm trying to think of what all Dave Chappelle was in that he might know, but like he's in Con Air, which is the year before this, but Harrison Ford's not in that. I don't know. Who knows? Wonder if there's a story there. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
I love that Stephen Wright is apparently uncredited, but in this movie, and for I thought they're gonna do a bit where you never see him talk because Stephen Wright has like a very distinctive delivery, and there's a part early on where they read a note that he wrote, and you hear the voiceover. It's Stephen Wright's voice, but you don't see him talk. But eventually, he does kind of pull like a Silent Bob and Chasing Amy, where he gives them
like a profound speech. Yeah,
yeah, towards the end. But Andrew, this is the second movie we've covered this month where there's a guy living in their house that no one actually knows who he is.
Yes.
Dude, Where's My Car has the exact same gag.
Yep.
They have a guy living in the closet. I thought he was your friend. No, I thought he was your friend. No one knows how anyone knows Stephen Wright, but he just sleeps on their couch. I guess this is some kind of like trope, but I feel like this would be like a substance much harder than marijuana. I feel like maybe like a crack den or a heroin house would have someone that no one really knows, but like, I don't know. There's something to it if it happens twice, but I thought it was funny that gag was repeated.
The guy in Dude, Where's My Car even kind of looks like Stephen Wright. It's not Stephen Wright, but he kind of looks like him. Trying to find out who that was in Dude, Where's My Car. The guy's name is Glenn, I think, but I don't see him listed anywhere in anything. But yeah, and like I remember a movie called Real Genius. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Val Kilmer,
starring Val Kilmer's and variety of others. But that movie has a whole gag about a guy that lives in their closet. But it turns out their closet has like a hatch where he goes into like this weird mechanical section of the building where he just hangs out filling out sweepstakes cards because he did the math and the equations to figure out that if he filled out a certain number of cards, he would statistically win like 65% of the prizes. Sure, that makes sense. But yeah, that whole movie has got a whole gag about a guy that lives in their closet that they know who he is, though, I guess. Like Val Kilmer knows who he is. But it's still, yeah, just a weird thing about like, yeah, we're just going to have a running gag through several movies of somebody living in this house and nobody knows who they are.
Not only is this the second week in a row in this podcast, we covered a movie where a guy lives with them that no one knows. It's also the second movie in a row where a dog gets high.
Yep.
The dog smokes the good stuff that Thurgood stole and jumps out the window. And I thought it was going to be a dark joke that he just kills himself. But they do the Superman montage again where he flies around the city. Tommy Chong is in this movie, which makes a lot of sense. Andrew, there's either got to be prison stuff on the cutting room floor or he's just underused. I feel like it doesn't go anywhere. I'm sorry, #IPP. I'm not trying to be critical, but it's just the joke is like, isn't it funny that it's Tommy Chong and like he defends Harlan Williams and stands up for him in a few scenes. I thought there'd be some kind of payoff. Maybe I was expecting too much, but Tommy Chong, his whole thing is that like he has like squirrels. Like,
that's his character's name, isn't it?
Yeah, but at one point he's like in the kitchen and you see this. He pulls a squirrel out of his pocket and the little squirrel has a hairnet. That was pretty.
Yes, good. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Yeah, like I feel like it's a weed movie. You had to get Tommy Chong in there. That was not an uncommon thing. I mean, that's the whole reason I think he's on That 70s Show, is because he's just Tommy Chong. See, man, he's so famous that he has to be in other people's stoner movies to give him credence and get to lend the credit to it.
We should talk about the finale, how it all wraps up. Basically, The guys get busted, but they pull a deal with the cops that they will wear a wire to take down Samson, who's the bigger drug dealer. In exchange, all the charges are dropped against them and their buddy. I love the bit where before they go into Samson's hideout, they convince the cops that they got to get high first. And so they basically hotbox in the surveillance van. And when they get out, the cops they leave behind get super high. And so whenever they give the code word to come in, no one comes to rescue them. That's a pretty good bit. This whole kind of final showdown with Samson really plays up the exploitation thing. They're fighting all of his henchwomen. At one point, one single breast pops out of the top, and you get the great line, "Now that's a titty." Very, like I said, very blaxploitation feel here. And then they're ultimately saved by the ghost of Jerry Garcia because Brian has, what is it, his remains in a pouch around his neck?
Yeah, like ashes or something. Yeah.
It's fun. It's silly. It's over the top. It's goofy. It's
ridiculous.
Fitting way
it knows what it's doing.
Wrap things up. Yeah. We spoke on Mike already a little bit about the kind of wonky release schedule we have going on right now. Apologies. Stuff happens. Life happens. But all the episodes we promised are coming out. And we are on the verge of our December demands month. There is still time, if you're hearing my voice right now, to get your demands in. There is a link in the show notes. You just fill out that form, hit submit, and you will be in the pool of movies that we will be covering in December. But we still have one more week, one more movie to cover in Stoner Month. That's coming up next week. But right now, Andrew, it's time for a segment we call Ask Andrew. That's when I ask you a question and you have to answer it, no matter what. Those are the rules. Sometimes those questions can come from our listeners. If you would like to submit a question for Andrew, you can do so by joining our Discord. Once again, there's a link in the show notes. Come and join us. There's a channel there called Ask Andrew. Andrew himself cannot see this channel. It is secret, and you can leave your cues for him there. Andrew, this week, our question is coming from Mike Lynch, who says, Ask Andrew, you're casting a new Cannonball Run remake.
Oh, God, why?
Are your stars? Hang on, full stop. Pause before I finish this. Oh, God, why? Because Cannonball Run is a perfect movie that doesn't need a remake? Or are you not a fan of Cannonball Run?
You don't need to do this.
Okay, well, it's happening, and there's nothing you can do about it, Andrew. But at least you are in charge of picking the stars. They ask, who are your Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise of the 2010s?
The 2010s?
He wrote 2020s. Forgive me, Mike Lynch. I don't know why I said 2010.
You're obviously casting. Go ahead.
Well, I like this question because I like the specificity. And someone actually responded with, I think, a pretty good answer. But I'll get to that in a second. I want to hear kind of what you come up with first.
Ryan Gosling is Burt Reynolds. There's no other answer.
Interesting. In the year 2025, I don't think that's crazy. Maybe 10 years ago, I'd be like, why are you playing Ryan Gosling? But like the way his career's gone and what his...
When you look at like the Nice Guys and the Fall Guy and stuff like that, it's like he's got the chops to do this. 100%.
Yes. Okay. What about the Dom DeLuise character?
I would go Russell Crowe.
Dude, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
In fact, I think we should not make this about a car chase. We should instead make them like PIs, I think, but we should set it in the 70s.
Okay.
So go back to the original time period of the Cannonball Run. Cannonball Run was 81. But let's push it back a little bit sooner. I'm not saying prequel. That would be wrong, but just a similar vibe. In fact, let's not make them the same characters even. Let's make them different characters. And let's do this in late 70s LA as like, I'd say a PI type situation. That's what I'm thinking. And just see where that takes us.
Everyone go see the
Otherwise, I'm not joking. I think Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe as those two characters would be fine. I think that would be
that's really good. I'm impressed on how quickly you came up with that. Even though you just pulled a cast straight from another movie.
I do think pulled the cast from another movie.
I think it works though. I think it works. Reyes in the Discord said Nick Offerman and Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's really good. I think it's really
Nick Offerman as the Burt Reynolds character would be great.
Is it too on the nose to throw Danny McBride in there somewhere?
I would not do him as one of the main two, but I feel like he has to be in the movie, basically playing Kenny Powers. But who could he be? I don't know. I'd have to watch the movie again. You've got all sorts of people that are there. Jesus Christ, this movie is stacked.
Is Cannonball Run forgive me, I've never seen it. I'm familiar with it, I haven't seen it. Is that the one where Jackie Chan shows up in a small part?
Yes. Jackie Chan is there. Two Asian guys that drive a Subaru filled with gadgets. And they're Japan's entry into the race, basically, even though Jackie Chan is not Japanese. And neither is, I think, the other guy with him. But
Farrah Fawcett's in there. Do we need to cast Farrah Fawcett?
Farrah Fawcett can be played by, I don't know. Who do you think?
I don't know. Margot Robbie?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe
like
Samara
Dean Martin.
Weaving.
Actually, Samara, she looks just like Margot Robbie.
I know. I know.
Like for me, it would be interesting. Like Dean Martin plays Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr., like the two members of the Rat Pack, play a scam artist and a gambler, both disguised as Catholic priests. And like, I think if you got like some kind of famous duo to play them, like Key and Peele, or maybe even like an Alex Winter, Keanu Reeves type thing, where you just kind of go back and find like a famous duo, because that's all that was. It was basically just you supposed to be like, oh hey, it's those guys from the Rat Pack.
I'm looking at the cast now. I see that Terry Bradshaw is in the movie. I think you just keep it as Terry Bradshaw. Just have what is Terry Bradshaw now? 92.
Do it.
Oh yeah, don't look it up, Andrew. How old is Terry Bradshaw?
I mean, his football heyday was what, the 70s? So he's probably 70s, 80s? I don't remember when the Iron Curtain was, but I don't know. 80?
Well, I just guessed 92.
He's not 92. I know he's not 92.
He's 77.
Jesus.
That's
that's
up there, but like that's younger than I thought. I think it's because my entire life he's been an old man, or like as far back as I can remember, that I just assumed like he was in his 60s when I was a kid.
He's got that Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's looked like 65 since he was 40. So like,
yeah, he had the skullet very early on. For sure.
Okay, he was the 70s. He was 74 to 79. That was when the Super Bowl period was. But yeah, I would just use Terry Bradshaw again. I don't know if the guy he drove with, because the thing about that movie is you get a lot of duos because it's racing teams. So almost all of them are like people that are paired together. So you benefit from, like, for me, like you would benefit immensely from like just find as many like famous duos as you can. And like find aged ones and find whoever.
We've got to pair Danny McBride with somebody, and I say
Walton Goggins.
Okay,
Walton Goggins. No, it's got to be Walton Goggins and Danny McBride. You got to go the Vice Principals, Righteous Gemstones route here. Okay. Bill Hader, you should team with someone, but it would probably be like, I don't know, John Mulaney or somebody. But
put him with the Lonely Island guy. Throw
Andy Samberg.
Gorman in there, yeah.
You've got like I would love to do like I would honestly, Jackie Chan still being the one driver would be super funny as well. And then you just put him with somebody like Donnie Yen or Jet Li or whoever. Just find whatever other famous kind of action star you can. Or you just do Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson and you make it as best you can. But
Andrew, I want this to happen. You could just find anybody. You could find any duo and just like I would do Ashton Kutcher and Sean William Scott. Like do it for fun. Like just put them both as they found the car. There it is. They've got it. So just make it happen. But yeah, this is a movie that like, and a lot of these people like, you know, like Roger Moore is in Cannonball Run is basically a parody of James Bond. It's like, do you have Daniel Craig in there? Like a Benoit Blanc adjacent character where he just does like a ridiculous accent playing a different version of it. Or even like you can do Pierce Brosnan there or Timothy Dalton. Turns out Timothy Dalton can be pretty funny too. People don't realize that about him either, but like he's part of the reason I love Hot Fuzz so much because he's so ridiculous in that movie. So Andrew, how old is Timothy Dalton?
87, 9. he was James Bond. They asked about him in the early 80s. I think he was too young, so I'm going to guess he's 80.
79. But yeah, Timothy Dalton's older than Terry Bradshaw.
Only by a little.
Yeah, but I don't know. It didn't feel right in my head.
Closer on that one. But yeah, you could, like, something like this, as much as, like, I would not recommend you do it because you don't need to do it. You can have it's something like a Clue remake. Like, somebody's like, why would you remake Clue? And I'm like, because while I love the movie Clue, it's literally here in my stack to the right that you can't see. But, like, I also have the CD soundtrack I bought here somewhere, so I could have a high quality digital version of the soundtrack. Because I have vinyl, so my vinyl rip has bumps and cracks in it, and it doesn't sound good. Because I needed to buy the CD so I could make a high quality lossless version. But something like Clue is like, you just literally throw together an ensemble cast in a murder mystery, and like you can have a blast with that. Like, you could put together any combination of people, and it could be wonderful. Cannonball Run is a similar idea where, like, I would not recommend that you do this, but there is a way to do this and make it a lot of fun. Basically, you throw together as many people as you can, and you just have the best. You just literally, everybody would be having a blast, and it's not impossible to do. You could make the main two guys Jason Lee and Ethan Suplee. It's literally basically the characters they're playing in My Name Is Earl. That's what they basically are. But you could have a lot of fun with something like this. But I still stand by Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe as J.J. McClure and Victor.
Sign me up. Sounds like a good time. The world doesn't need more remakes, but also that sounds like a blast. So what do I know? All right, Andrew. One more week left in Stoner Month. Come back next week for what is it next week, Andrew?
Jane Silent Bob Strike Back.
And until then, just remember that maybe not every movie is great,
but all movies have greatness.
Thank you to Mark Benavides for singing our theme song. You can check him out on Instagram at NotThatMarkAnthony. And thanks to Mitch for the music. Follow him on Blue Sky and check our show notes for the SoundCloud link. Check out our store on TeePublic for some best of the rest merch. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. It's the only way that we grow. Follow us on social media at BOTRcast. Thank you.
Yeah, like, I feel like it's a weed movie. You had to get Tommy Chong in there. That was not an uncommon thing. I mean, that's the whole reason I think he's on That 70s Show, is because he's just Tommy Chong. See, man, he's so famous that he has to be in other people's stoner movies to give him credence and get to lend the credit to it.
He would do something similar in That 70s Show.
I literally just said that.
Sorry, I was checking a text message when you said that. That'll be really funny.
Sorry,
to me.
Andrew, I stopped listening.
That'll be really funny to me in the edit where I hear myself repeat something you just said.
Yep, because I've definitely never done that. So when those things crashed, when those things opened, it pretty much killed that theater, and it went out of business. Someone's at your door.